In this video, I'll be going over Stepford's biggest operator, Stepford Connect. Stepford Connect is Stepford's primary regional operator, connecting various places like Willowfield, Stepford Victoria in Central, Whitefield, Leighton City in West, Rayleigh Bay, Lynn by the Sea, and the Stepford Airport with one another. This operator has the most routes in the game, a grand total of 38, covering a total of 43 routes. Wow! These stations also vary from rural stops like Fairmere and Starryloch to big hubs like Stepford Central and Leighton City. Stepford Connect has a total of 21 trains, not counting variants. There's also 5 trains that used to serve on Connect that were retired at one point or another, those being the Class 444, Class 458, Class 465, 508 and 701 trains. The Class 387 was also on Connect for a short period of time before being moved on to Airlink. The number of trains is overwhelming, so I won't be saying too much about each and every single one of them. The first train we will be taking a look at is the Class 68 by Stadler, hauling 3 Mark III coaches, which is weird because it's only 3 coaches, and it's a double-headed train instead of being a push-pull with a DVT. Definitely an interesting choice. The Class 156 and 158 are both sprinters, however the 156 is older. They both feature relatively similar comfortability standards and a decent amount of engine power, although the Class 156 can only go up to 75 miles per hour, and it only operates on Leighton Connect. These trains were recently refurbished by Connect, and they're quite comfortable, although the top speed is still 75 miles per hour. The Class 168 and 170 are Connect's Turbostar trains. Well, actually, the 168 SCR has the body of a clubman. The main difference between these is the front, but the rest is pretty similar, and these trains are also great. The Class 185 and 195 are 2 other DMUs on Connect, with the 185 being capable of running semi-fast services as well, just like how it is on Trans-Pennine Express. The Class 195 is also present on Waterline, and is a relatively comfortable train you don't see very often on this operator. The first EMUs we will be taking a look at are the Class 321 and 331. The Class 321 is an EMU that was previously in use on Greater Anglia, and its age is definitely showing even on the Connect fleet as the seats are less than desirable. Meanwhile, the Class 331 is just the electric version of the previously discussed 195, with 1 or 2 additional coaches. The Class 333 Fishbowl is actually a decent train if you ignore the exterior model. I really like this train because, well, fishbowl, but parts of it do need an urgent remesh. The Class 350 comes in 2 variants, with the Dash 1 variant also commonly found in double formation and on the semi-fast routes. I dislike the Dash 2 variant for its 3+2 seating, but aside from that, this train is amazing. The Noob Tube, aka the 357, is made for the noobs. Jokes aside, this train is great, although its drivers are questionable at best. The Class 360 is just the electric version of the 185, however it's a really good train, and I really like the front of this livery. The Class 365 is the smiling devil of Connect, and it's also a really nice train despite the loud engine noises. The Class 377 has very high capacity, and it's most commonly found on lines to the airport and Leighton City. For some reason, it's not available in double formation, despite Southern frequently running these trains in doubles. Please add a double variant of the 377, I beg you, Toby. The Class 380 is the final to zero. Its front looks unique, that's for sure, and while the train itself is decent, I think it could do with some additional touches in a future remodel. A train that doesn't need a remodel is the Class 385, although it might need a slight increase in scale. It just feels tinier than the other trains for some reason. Unlike the other Hitachi trains in SCR, the seats on this one are actually usable. We move straight on to the Class 700 and 707 now, and need I say it, ironing boards. Aside from that, these trains are great for commuter lines like the airport and R003 due to their high standing capacity, but yeah, the seats definitely need some work in the future. And finally, we have the Class 720 and 730 Adventurers. These trains are relatively comfortable, They're fast, and the 730 can be found often on the Lynn semi-fast line. I have to reiterate, the seats on the 730 in particular are really comfortable, and I like the way the front looks on the 730 with the gangway, although I do prefer to drive the 720 because you can actually look out of the cab. I apologize for this segment and frankly the rest of the video maybe being a bit fast, but there was a lot of trains to cover for on Connect, and we'll have even more routes. Connect's right-of-way is much simpler. There's the Lynn Main Line, Morganstown Main Line, and a few branches, namely to Victoria, Willowfield, Whitefield, the airport, Leighton West, and Rayleigh Bay. The main line is graded for 100 mph running on almost all of its segments with a few notable exceptions, and it's fully electrified and mostly grade separated, while the branch lines are much more of a mixed bag. Some of them feel just like the main line with the airport and Willowfield branches, while some like the Whitefield, Leighton West and Rayleigh Bay lines feel a lot more rural, with Whitefield and Rayleigh Bay being the only two Connect branches to lack overhead electrification. Right, now that we're done with all the trains and the lines, let's cover every single route of the 43 routes that Connect operates. I won't be saying much about the individual lines because there's just so many. Starting off with R001 from Stepford Central to Airport Central. It's a nice, quick airport link service via Benton that runs relatively frequently. R003 is basically its cousin route, following the same stopping pattern through Stepford but ending at Leighton City. It's another commuter staple and it really fits well. R004 goes from St Helens Bridge to Edgemead and it skips a few stations, acting as a fast service, not much to say here. R005 is our first new route, running from Stepford Victoria to Airport Central. This route is infested with 357s, however it's still a really nice and relatively frequent line. R007 was extended to Hampton Hargate in 2.3, and I have major respect for this line. It's a fast link between Hampton Hargate and Stepford Central. R009 goes from Stepford Victoria to Edgemead, stopping at a few more stops than R004. This line is somewhat frequent but not too frequent, with a train on average every 10 or so minutes during peak hours. R020 is the first Whitefield route, and the first diesel-exclusive route on Connect. It's nice, it's relatively fast, and it gets you to Whitefield. Simple. The faster alternative to this line is R022, although its skipping of Horton Rake is bizarre, when it should really be skipping Woodhead Lane instead. Still a nice line though. R024 is the main line stopper, running from Stepford Central to Lynn by the Sea via Benton. Nice, fast, frequent-ish, often run by comfortable trains such as the 730 and 350-1. R025 runs an all-stopper service from St Helens Bridge to West Wyvern, except for Angel Pass for some reason. This line used to be my favourite on Connect for a fair while. R026 is a fast service from Stepford Victoria to Lynn by the Sea, and it's a former Class 60 exclusive that has now been allowed to run a few other trains, namely the trains that can also run the semi-fast lines. R032 is a fast service between Willowfield and Port Benton. It's the only Connect line that still goes to Port Benton, and that's about it. My thoughts on this line are still mixed. R033 runs from Airport Central to Beachley. It's far less frequent than its counterpart R005, but it can still be occasionally spotted. R035 runs from Willowfield to West Wyvern, and it's the longest non-exclusive line in the network, as aside from the Class 156, all Connect trains can run this line. It's a really nice line with a faster service than R025. R036 runs from Willowfield to Lynn by the Sea, and like its counterpart R026, it has recently been allowed to run much more trains other than the Class 68, which is really nice. It's pretty much R026 but to Willowfield. R037 runs from Leighton City to Lynn by the Sea, and is the first route the Class 156 runs on our list. This route is relatively decent, along with its sister route, which is R038. It's by all means just a shorter R037, going to West Wyvern. Still a very nice line. R039 runs from Benton to Leighton City, and is just as nice as the rest of the Leighton Connect routes, although the timetable is a bit tight. R040 runs from Edgemead to Lynn, and while it is a nice line, I still prefer R037 as Leighton City offers far more interchange opportunities than Edgemead. R041 is the Edgemead to Leighton West shuttle, and it's a decent line especially when done in conjunction with the Leighton City shuttle. R042 runs between Leighton West and Lynn by the Sea, and I have quite a fond memory of running this line with a Class 357 to unlock Waterline because I just couldn't handle the traffic on the noob routes anymore. The Leighton shuttle, marked as R043, is the counterpart to the Edgemead shuttle, and it's a great line except for the occasional traffic. R044 is a relatively frequent line from Leighton West to Benton. It was the only route past Leighton City that went to Leighton West, but then we got the semi-fasts. R045 is our second noob route going from Stepford Victoria to Leighton City. It's a faster version of R003, but with even more traffic thanks to all the noobs. R046 goes from Stepford Victoria to Terminal 2, and it's a great link from the centre of Stepford to Airport Terminal 2 if you don't want to pay for an airlink service. It also has a counterpart in R048, which cuts short at St Helens Bridge. R049 goes from Edgemead to Rayleigh Bay, and basically acts as a shuttle service to Rayleigh Bay. It's my favourite route to Rayleigh Bay along with the Leighton City line. R050 goes from Rayleigh Bay to Lynn by the Sea, and I kinda like it, but it's also kinda too long for my taste. R100 goes from Leighton West to Rayleigh Bay, and while it's a nice line, I don't really like it. It does pair up nicely with the Leighton shuttle though. R101 is my other favourite Rayleigh Bay line, going from Leighton City to Rayleigh Bay. It's nicer compared to R049 and R100 because Leighton City is a very big interchange station. Now this next line, well, it's R102 from West Wyvern to Rayleigh Bay, and the total cost to access it is 4.25 thousand points. 3,000 for the Class 156 because this is an exclusive, and then an additional 1.25 thousand for the route itself. What a rip-off. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I will end up smashing something. If you ever need proof that Toby is a drug addict and needs money to pay for his drug addiction, this is it. R103 is a relatively nice line from Willowfield to Whitefield. Not much to say here, so let's move on to R104, the semi-fast version of R024. It goes via Ellesmere and skips like half of the stations to Lynn by the Sea. R105 is similar to R104, however it terminates at West Wyvern. Again, not really much to say here. R106 is exclusive to the Class 185, as it's the only semi-fast diesel train. This route goes from Stepford Central to Rayleigh Bay, and skips Carnley Bridge. R107 is the semi-fast line from Stepford Central to Leighton West, and like the other semi-fasts, I don't have much to say about this one. R108 goes from Stepford Airport Central to West Wyvern. It's a really nice line, and it's similar to the next line, which is R109, from Airport Central but to Leighton West. It's another semi-fast line, and the final Connect line we will be taking a look at. I really like this one. Now that we're finally done with all of the routes, let's take a look at where Connect can improve. First off, ditch the stops beyond Stepford Central. Maybe keep one line to Willowfield and that's it. We have a metro that can just as easily serve these areas. Secondly, enable more trains to run semi-fast services, and also enable the Game Pass trains to run more regular services. It would make sense from a gameplay perspective, it would make sense from a realism perspective, so do it. And finally, cut the price of R102. Please. 1.25 thousand is far too much for such a short line. This is an even bigger robbery than the airport shuttle, because at least the shuttle is unique. Cut it down to 300 at max and refund the differences to the players that bought it. Overall, Stepford Connect is a regional operator for Stepford County that also has a few commuter services. Its trains are comfortable, its frequency is high, and it's the glue that holds the entire network together. Aside from minor issues like some of the prices or traffic in the Victoria area, it's an amazing operator and I'll give it a 9.3 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching this long video, and it did go by a little bit fast. The Stepford Explained series is now over. Big thanks to my channel members whose names you can see on screen. Consider subscribing and joining the Discord server via the link in the description. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.